He didn't trust him, but it cost him his life.
A 38-year-old anti-vax and anti-mask father of two died after claiming the vaccines were political, and of course went on to regret the decision once he was in hospital with COVID-19. Now, I'm going to play this report from a local Fox station in Las Vegas and discuss it.
Just about a month ago, I was speaking with local parents on Facebook to get their thoughts on the mask mandate when this Henderson woman reached out to me, Christina Lowe, and she said, I'm 100% considering pulling my kids from their school. They absolutely should not be forced to wear masks all day long. She and her husband were firmly against the vaccine. Well, I just heard from Christina again, and sadly, this time her messaging was very different.
It's horrible thinking of my children having to grow up without their father now.
Mike Lowe, firefighter of 15 years, gone after contracting COVID-19.
I thought it was a political game, and I didn't think it could happen to us.
Leaving behind his proud and loving wife, Christina, and two young boys who were his world.
He loved taking them fishing. He loved to take them to all the fun places around town, Cowabunga Bay.
The tragic ordeal happened just in the last 2 weeks. He died over the weekend when COVID caused pneumonia and the need for kidney dialysis.
He's not going to be there for birthdays and holidays, and he's not going to be there when they graduate, when they get married, when they have kids. He's going to miss out on all of that. So it's going to take time for them to fully understand.
She says their views on the virus changed completely. Now newly vaccinated herself.
That pain in my arm was not anything compared to the pain that I felt of losing my husband.
Christina's not allowing his death to be in vain. Just as Mike did in his firefighting career, she's working to save lives by speaking out on any public platform possible. He bravely served our community, and how can our community honor his legacy going forward?
By getting vaccinated, by wearing your masks. I understand that some of you believe that this is political. And it might be. It could be political. I don't know that it's not. But I do know that because of that decision of my husband believing it was political is why he did not want to wear a mask. That is why he did not want to get vaccinated. He didn't trust him. But it cost him his life.
A 38-year-old father of two died because he thought the vaccines were too political, thought they were rushed. Here he is here with his two kids. Now, what led them to this idea? What media did they consume? Fox News, Tucker Carlson, Brett Weinstein. These are the questions that I would ask them if I were interviewing them. What did you consume that made you think the vaccines were too political, too rushed, that you thought not getting the vaccine was a better option than protecting yourself against a deadly virus that has killed millions? But this is the case for half of America. I mean, you look at the vaccination rate in the U.S. that had access to the vaccines before anybody else in any other country. The U.S. had the vaccines first. Against these other major countries here, the U.S. is last. 52%. Only a little over half the country right now is fully vaccinated. That's insane. Considering they had the vaccines first, you've been able to get it since the beginning of the year, and only half the country is vaccinated, largely because of the media, and of course right-wing media, and social media as well, playing a huge part in all of this. But it's good to see this. His wife now, Christina, go out there, use this moment to try and educate others who are anti-mask, anti-vax to get vaccinated, even saying, hey, maybe it is political, but get the vaccine, protect yourself. It's just, there has to be a real awakening here in terms of how people view the content or absorb the content that they are taking in. How many more people have to die? How many more stories do we have to see? There is a article here in SanFranciscoGate.com that goes over just 21 of them. I mean, there's thousands upon thousands of these stories, but 21 stories going over similar cases here where people were anti-vax and then got COVID and then regretted it. I mean, this is a constant theme with, especially, it's not just conservative leading people, as I personally know people who are not conservative but are also anti-vax. But it is an issue here where they are unable to understand the problem unless it happens to them. So, you saw a similar thing with gay rights for a long time. People didn't understand why should we allow gay people to get married? And then they discover, they have a nephew or a brother or a cousin who's gay, and then all of a sudden it opens their mind, or a son who's gay. All of a sudden it opens their mind to realizing, actually, I love this person. They should be allowed to love whoever they want. And it's very similar here with COVID, where they don't understand, they don't believe it, they don't understand it. They think it's all political, and then they have a personal experience, and all of a sudden it's just this awakening. Like, why is there this inability for people to connect the dots, see others in your life, or not even in your life, but others in the world that you don't know get COVID and die? And why does that not impact them the same way that it impacts them when it happens to them personally? Like, it's just this complete disconnect from the real world that I have a hard time grasping. I mean, I really think that there are certain people who are just unable to take in information and process it in a way that is applicable to their lives unless they have that very thing happen to them. It's a constant theme that we see. Now, some of these stories, just to go over them quickly. A Sacramento woman shares the story of her husband's devastating death. So I'll link to this below. Of course, you can read through this, see all these stories. Man says his brother, a conservative talk radio host, died of COVID, wishes he got vaccine. There is a number of these stories now. I think I've seen 2 or 3 prominent AM conservative radio hosts who were anti-vax get COVID and die. And so this article is from late August. There's been at least one other that's happened since then. California man changes heart about vaccine after hospitalization from COVID-19. Family members get vaccine after seeing Big Bunk. I assume that's a member of their family. Struggle for his life in Sacramento hospital. Another father of 2. There you go. 30-year-old COVID-19 survivor is now a vaccination believer. So yeah, these go on and on. I've covered several of these as well. It is just an issue we're going to keep seeing, and the reason why this is so important, apart from the lives here, the adults that are impacted, it's also the children that are being impacted. There is a recent story out about a teacher who, I believe this is in Florida, got COVID-19 and spread it to her students. This is a teacher who was anti-mask, didn't wear the mask during story time, when you're doing the most talking in front of class. So spread out COVID-19 without realizing she had it at the time, gave it to half the class, and now half of her students who were not able to get the vaccine because they're underage for the vaccine got COVID-19. And we're going to continue seeing this as school begins. We're going to continue seeing more and more children get COVID-19. Thankfully, it right now doesn't appear to impact kids as much as it impacts adults. But at the same time, we are seeing the Delta variant does impact children a lot more than previous variants did. And you're seeing some hospitals fill up, children's hospitals fill up with COVID-19 patients. So this is going to be an ongoing issue. But ultimately, we really have to get to the media that is spreading this. I want, in every single one of these stories, I want to know what they were consuming. What did they read? That is what is vitally important to all of this. Because if we don't expose those people and the bullshit they are selling, then you're going to continue seeing people devastated by this virus as they continue being anti-vax and anti-mask.